Okay, everybody. Hey, how's it going? This is a really cool interview that I get to do because it actually means something. It's with a family member. It's with my nephew, Landon. Landon,
Howdy.
say hi to everyone.
Nice to meet y'all.
Part of Mission for Healthy Heroes. Landon is going to talk about you become a firefighter at a very young age.
yeah. Yeah, no, I wanted to get out of kitchens and I just naturally do a lot of hiking with my buddies and one of my buddies, Quentin, was like, "Hey, I'm getting into this gig and even though it's a little late right now, it'd be something cool that I think you would be interested in." Because he knew, along with a bunch of my other buddies, that like I'd been in kitchens since 14. I was just unhappy with it. Kind of felt like I was in the rut for a while. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do some type of forestry work, some type of just something to get me out there. And it was really hard to kind of get my foot in, I guess, those doors. But then my buddy Quentin just told me how easy it can be getting into, like, instead of working directly under the federal, working for private contracting, which is what we do. And that's how I learned about Patrick. And yeah, no, after his going into his second season, he was getting me super hyped for it, and we just pushed really hard. I mean, he was getting me into the gym every single day with him, and we were just getting ready for it. And then I went for my first season, and even though there was a lot of new experiences and a lot of just stress in general, the experiences I got to have. I mean, I got to start my summer out in Canada,
Yeah.
which was really cool. And I just barely was able to apply for that even, and that was my first fire right out the rip, was just going out to another country, and especially a country that I hadn't traveled to yet. And so yeah, no, it was an insane first season, and when I came back, it had me feeling pretty fulfilled and ready to just see my family and enjoy the winter. And now come summertime, I'm getting bored and I'm ready to get back out there. Like, it's something about it just gives me drive, gives me a sense of purpose, and obviously the money's pretty good. That's why a lot of people are out there. But I mostly just wanted to change my life. Wanted something to make me feel a little bit more accomplished at the end of the days, and yeah, that's what I think just helps, especially push me. Like it's a lot of days where I'll come back from, I'll start a lot of mornings where I'm like, man, today's gonna suck. Then you finish it and you're like, man, hey, I like crushed today.
Yeah.
Met a lot of good people. You're like, oh man, I met some new crews on some other engines and stuff like that. And there's a lot of good people out there. It's a good experience for sure.
As somebody who likes to be in the wilderness, what is your first thought? I know that you were part of the California firefighting crew, um, but as the one that you were up in Canada, as being a fan of the wilderness, what is like the first thing that you think of when you go there and you see these monsters that are destroying? They're destroying nature, but truth is, they're also cleaning nature.
That is something that, yeah, a lot of people, when it comes to firefighters, like, or at least for wildland, like, it's not as much fighting as I would say it sounds like, for more structure and being inside as much as it is fire managing, because
Yeah.
sometimes it is beneficial. Sometimes you have areas where it's like, well, it's really thick, it's going to be hard to get through. Instead, we're going to go around and just kind of dig a hotline or some type of just hand line that's going to pretty much cut it off at some point and let it sort of lay itself down. But like going out in Canada, being out in like the nature out there, it was weird because it almost felt similar to at least to like my home of Idaho and the mountains. And mountains felt very similar, but there were a lot of lakes around. And because there was a lot of lakes, the mosquitoes were the biggest thing out there. They
Oh,
tore you up. They didn't care if you had anything on you. Like, you coat yourself in deep, mosquito spray, and 20 minutes later, they are just all over you. And so, the biggest thing out there was definitely the mosquitoes. If you're ever out around the Saskatchewan area, very beautiful turf, very beautiful land, great people. even the ones that are down on their luck, and in some situations, they're just always super positive people. Even when you just talk to them outside the gas station, and it's a great country. It's a great place, great people. A lot of bugs though. There's
Yeah.
a lot of bugs that you wouldn't think it, because you'd think, oh man, like it's Canada, it probably gets really cold. They have a very big bug population up there, and I know between that and that was my first experience really getting to see high numbers of pine beetles,
Oh yeah.
which those things can hurt when they bite you. They
Yeah.
no venom or nothing, but they just no, or I guess no poison or nothing, but they just when they bite you, oh, they split skin.
Well, they're also devastating to the forest. Those things. I know 1 year. Well, it was actually like 2 years. It closed down campfires in Colorado. Those things did so, and that
Yeah,
was
makes
right
sense.
before we had that terrible forest fire that 1 to 2 that wiped out a good portion of up here in northern Colorado. Landon, what are some of the things that like are you in communication with your the people in charge right now? Are they kind of concerned about it being like as dry as it's been? Because out west, out here, like a lot of people out east are getting pounded with snow and stuff. We haven't got anything out here. I mean, it snowed
Yeah,
3 times here in Colorado.
I know that there's a weird central area where I do follow my company on Facebook and a few other different platforms where I can just see they constantly like to post like recent fires where crews are out at, and I know that as of right now, it does kind of look like a lot of our crews are more, if anywhere, central. They're more centrally based around, I guess, like almost Midwest to East Coast area right now. It's kind of a weird time, I know, because you'll have some photos where it looks like they're out on some nice days, and then you have some videos and photos where they're out on, I mean, even if there's a little bit of snow, as long as there's a fire ripping, they'll have us out there. And so, yeah, you can. I mean, it don't really matter as long as there's a spot where they need some resources. I know that my company tends to try to take everything that they can. So yeah, that's why they can typically find work for us all year round, or they'll give you the option to come back home for East Coast. So for the winter time to come see your family
No.
and whatnot. But there are, I mean, I do know that they did say that this year was looking, just with how things have been and it being a more drier, uh, I guess you could say winter for a lot of places, especially around West Coast. It's looking to ramp up and be probably a very busy one, probably a very
Yeah.
busy season, just from what I'm seeing and everything. But I could be wrong. Things could slow down and eventually, turn out to be another weird fire season like last one was, or could be a super busy one. I mean, I had like we had a lot of people last fire season come in for their first year, including me, and that's why I got cycled off for like 2 months because they literally had just had to get as many people out as they could for their first time. And so this year will probably, I'll start a little bit earlier too. Looks like I'll probably be back on call and starting way before even my birthday, versus last year where I pretty sure like right after my birthday, or actually I did it like a month before my birthday, and then was on call but was still at home for a while and was just sitting and waiting. And
You are obviously, you already said that you're not working for the federal government, you're working for a civilian engineer. Is there a difference between like when you're talking to a somebody who does work for the federal government, like the benefits, like I'm pretty sure that your health care is probably better than what they get,
in
because honestly their health care is
So from
really.
what I've pieced together, the difference between federal and I would say like private contracting is, at first for a while it was meant to be like mostly benefits and stuff like that. I know that some can apply with retirement as well as I mean, my company, we do get we get health, hazard, and medical, which is all nice. And so that is kind of, I mean, at least in my opinion, that's just the basics of what I need for right now, and so it does just fine for me. But I know that once you start getting more into federal, that is the time where they are a lot more. I guess you could say almost that is when you'll start to find more hot shots and more
Yeah.
hot shot workers. And there have been some pretty cool hot shots that I've met that have been really cool people, but it's been very rare. There are a lot of like there's a weird divide between private and federal because people who are federal think that I mean, at the end of the day, we're all just resources on the same fire. But some people will let that little ego thing get to them, and so there were, for example, like out in Canada, we had a company, the Sawtooth. I want to say it was the Sawtooth Hot Shots. Um, when they first showed up, because they were like, I want to say the second or third, because we were either the first or second like American crew to show up at that time. And when they showed up shortly after us, they ended up getting a bad review because of how just negative they were towards a lot of people in the camp. Like I just say good morning. I'm really nice. I try to say good morning to everyone as I walk by. Like no matter if you're on my crew or not, we're all on that same fire. Um, and I've had dudes that I've said good morning and asked them how they are, and they'll just like look at me up and down and just kind of like scoff and like keep walking. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever. And then I find out, oh well, it's because they're a hotshot crew,
Yeah.
and so they think that they're above a lot of people, and so they see private contractors. It's because back in the day, private contractors used to be run a lot more loosely. There used to be like a really big drug problem back when my base manager, from what I hear, when he was like first starting, they had like heavy drugs and stuff that they were doing out on the fires, and so that's why at least our company and a few others I've come to understand have kind of made or have gained a bad reputation due to that. And that's why my company is at least trying to be more professional and trying to run like I've been told by some ex-military that are in our company that we run ours very like an old school military pretty much. And so yeah, but yeah, it's just the main difference is that you have a lot more time that you are on call, and you have a lot more time where you cannot, I guess, call off. There are a lot more days in the year where you are required to be on call versus for, you know, private contracting. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, it really, I mean, there are some people that I know will just go all year round. You know,
Yeah.
they don't have family or friends where
Yep.
they're from, and so they just will travel around. I know that I've seen people with camping builds on their vehicles that'll just pull up and be like, "Hey, I was told to show up for a fire. Do you guys still got those resources needed?" And so yeah, I know that Power can be ran a little bit differently. I have not been in long enough to know fully how federal is ran on the inside. I've only been able to talk to a few buddies, but even those buddies were mostly in like chipper crews, which are mostly the ones who run like those machines that will saw up trees and branches and whatnot when you're trying to clear debris upon roads and all that. So,
Mhm. What are some of the fears that you have, and what? How do you cope with them?
um, me personally, I think that like, even though I'm a very naturally stressed and anxiety ridden person, and so I've just always kind of had to deal with that stuff. And being in more high stress situations, I feel like because I've been dealing with stuff like that over the years, that it's weird because it's almost like something that like, I mean, for example, out in Washington, I almost had a couple trees fall and take me out, and it could have been very fatal. It could have been very bad. And I don't know what it is, but I try to keep up the morale of everyone around me because that in a way will turn around and like work as a morale back for me too. You know, because like if I keep 20 motherfuckers positive, then once I start getting negative, I got at least 15 motherfuckers that are gonna come back to me with some positiveness. And with all that, like, you gotta just kind of laugh stuff off sometimes. I mean, there was at one point where me and my buddy were in the middle of just karaokeing like Weird Al Yankovic or something for fun, and we were singing some random song like Amish Paradise, and a faller crew had tried to drop a tree a couple hundred yards away, and it ended up falling weirdly and pivoting, and so it fell in the complete opposite direction, or actually, well, not opposite, but it fell way far to the left than what they were wanting, and ended up beaming another tree, and that tree ended up falling down and beaming down onto the ground, maybe 10, 15 feet from me and my buddy. Had that tree fallen a lot more straight, it definitely could have hit one of us, but because it hit and then it itself kind of hit a weird angle and fell down. It just missed us, and we just kind of like both looked at each other and had that look of like, all right, you're good, you're still breathing, you weren't hit, and then we just both kind of laughed and like kept going back to it and just
Yeah.
singing our song. And it's all about just how you. I mean, you have to learn to handle that stuff. I mean, that's respectfully like you can't almost die on a job like that and start freaking out because like at that point you really should be up on the mountain. Like there's a lot of videos that people will get, and I've gotten myself of like driving through some crazy places where everything's on fire and you can feel the heat radiating on the glass, and you can just hear reggae music or something playing casually in the background, and everyone's kind of just in a positive mood. Like even though we're all locked in, you've got it just quietly playing enough for us to hear it, but enough for us to still hear the radio, and you just gotta kind of keep morale high. Still hear us kind of laughing in those videos and just chatting. And a lot of my family are just kind of baffled by that. And it's like, well, respectfully, if I was sitting there freaking out, like I probably shouldn't be going out there in the first place. Because if stuff really does hit the fan, I need to know that I can keep calm. If it's my life that's in danger or someone else's, I need to be able to keep calm, think, and respond accordingly to the situation in a timely manner enough that can make sure that whoever's life is at risk, we can get them out as soon as possible.
Honestly, I tell people all the time that if you are going to be nervous about getting hit on a motorcycle, me being in an accident before, I've told people all the time, if you're going to constantly be nervous about getting hit on a motorcycle, you should stay the hell off a motorcycle because you're going to get yourself into an accident if
Yeah,
that's all you're thinking. It's like, could this be my last day? Could this be my last day? Honestly, you could fall off your stairs and this could be your last day. We never know that. So
yeah,
I think that you've got the right attitude there, just knowing that, this, you gotta take it, ebb and flow. So
yeah,
you wanted to make mention to all the younger people out there that there could be a possibility for them to go and
yeah. I know that my company, we're spread pretty far. We've got bases like at least, especially all over the West Coast. I know that. I feel like it's a little bit more or less bases towards East Coast, but we still have. I mean, bases all over, and if I can, I mean, I got a lot of buddies who where they don't know where they want to go, don't know what they want to do, and I understand getting in that rut, but there are a lot of buddies who have been in a rut for a long time, and I've been in a rut for a while myself until I got into this job, and it kind of gave me a sense of purpose. It's just there are things that if you just put yourself in the right position and make sure that as long as you are keeping your eyes open for when doors open, just take those opportunities. Because if I never took this opportunity, I wouldn't have been able to have the experiences that I had, have the stories I have a crew boss who runs 3 different crews, that's 60 different people out in Canada who wants to hire me, who wants me to move out to Canada and be out there. And also with California, I had a couple chipper crews and a couple of faller crews that just really liked me and were telling me like if I ever wanted a job in their area that I could find one. And it's stuff like that that makes it all definitely worth it. As shitty as it can be and as scary as it can be. I mean, you gotta lock in and make sure that like when you go out there, like I know a lot of people have the money be the concern, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're not exactly in a war, but man, it is fucking dangerous. You gotta watch your
yeah.
back. You gotta watch everyone else's back. I mean, you may not be fighting humans out there, but you're fighting Mother Nature, and that's something that almost, it's hard to explain. It's like there is a conscious, but there's not. You know what I mean? Like, she moves how she feels fit, and whether you're there or not, it don't matter. Because same with the deer, same with the gophers, same with the birds. You find so many animals that are burnt over out there that either couldn't run out quick enough or got hurt and weren't able to make it out quick enough. And that same thing can happen to any of us. We're all just flesh and bone, just like those creatures. And so yeah, you gotta be very intuitive on it. But if you got the drive, if you want to make that change in your life, like I really recommend it for anyone, especially if you're like me, and even if you've been born and raised in the cities, or that's where you ended up eventually. Like, yeah, my calling was out towards the mountains, and that's what drove me to do this. And so, to anyone who's in their 20s or higher, or just at any point in your life where you want to change and you keep saying, "Oh, well, I would love to do that," or "I wish I could do," yeah, you can do that. It's a matter of just getting it fucking done or not.
Yeah, pull your
So,
head out of your ass and do a job. You
yeah,
know, and we're remarkable machines. The human body is a remarkable machine. We can do a lot of shit until we can't do it no more. So look, kiddo, I'm beyond proud of you. I know that I know hearing that you're out there and you're doing that stuff. It being here in Colorado and living through a couple of those fires that were really close. We had one out in Fort Collins that, I mean, we were covered in smoke here in Greeley, and it was devastating. You walked outside and you couldn't breathe.
yeah. I think
So
we did almost get sent onto that fire, and we actually were passing through Colorado at one point over to another area. I remember seeing how smoky it was.
yeah,
It can get bad out here.
yeah. But so you know what? I'm going to tell everybody right now, this summer, because of the fire danger, just be careful with what you're
Hmm.
doing. Because if you hurt my nephew, I'm going to kick your ass. So
And I
just
would
just to
definitely
let you know.
say, listen to, there are a lot of people out there that I have seen causing issues with, like if you're trying to get somewhere and your road is blocked, and you see people who are stopping you and telling you, hey, like, you need to pick another way. Don't sit there and argue. Just get it figured out, because sometimes, I've been in a position where I've gotten stuck for 40 minutes in a spot because we're waiting for civilians up ahead to get out of our way so that we can get in there and do our job. And there was at one point where we actually weren't able to start our job that day, even though we were there early enough because of that. And so, like, I know things can get frustrating, but man,
Yeah,
like, you got to think about it. There are people who, like, they're not letting you drive into that because of how dangerous it is. And so, those who are driving into that, you need to make sure that you are out of our way so that we can get in, get our job done, get out as quickly, safely as possible, because those are human lives going in there. They got families, they got friends, they got people that they need to come back home to. And as long as everything can move smoothly, and that's just like the best you can do. Best you can do, yeah. And just make sure
yeah,
you keep out of our way. And for the most part, I don't speak for every company, but I know that a lot of the people that I do work with out there are very respectful, are really good people. It may look a little rough on the edges, but that's just the kind of work and what that sort of job does to people. But man, there are some really good folks out there. And if you do know anyone who is in wildland, winter I know can be a really rough time for them. So just try to be there. I only met someone on one fire, and that was when I was out in Redmond. Come wintertime, he missed a call, and because of that, he had a whole mental episode, and ended up taking his life before he did some terrible things. And yeah, so you just never know what people are going through. So
you
if you
know,
know people who are in first responding business, just always try to keep up on them. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them
yep,
what's up with them.
yep. And we've talked about this plenty. These computers, they're amazing things. There is no longer that excuse that I couldn't get a hold of them. Okay. I didn't have time to reach out to them. That's bullshit. I mean, reach out, make sure everyone's okay. Landon, thank you for doing this for me.
Of
Uh,
course, of course.
I greatly appreciate it, and hey, we'll tag his company for anybody who's interested in checking it out. Look, this could be a very busy season, summer. So, you can't just go out there and think that you're going to, put on a suit and look cute.
Yeah.
It's somebody, you're going to go out there and work your ass off.
And
But
I don't know how other companies run, but if you are going into something like Patrick, where it is a little bit easier to get into, the reason it is easier is because you do have to take an investment into it. So you do have to buy your own boots, buy some of your own gear. There's stuff that they do provide for you that is cheap stuff that comes out of your, like your boot grease, your gloves, your sweat thing that goes in your helmet, your sweatband. They provide some other stuff for you, but it is an investment. I probably spent about 15 originally. I probably spent about $1,500 on gear, and then slowly over the fire season was replacing stuff. I mean, I ended up having to replace one of my bags and get a waterproof one because sometimes your duffel bag isn't waterproof, and it's just easier to take another duffel bag and drop it in your bag, zip that shit up, get your Nomex on, you're ready. You can start getting shit going while other people are getting their pants on and dicking around. And but yeah, it's an investment for sure. It's something that if you get into, you have to be willing to like really push yourself. That's also with the PAX exam. You can't even get into the class unless you can make it 3 miles with a 45-pound vest on. So just something to keep in mind for anyone who's applying.
well, like I said, what we'll do is we'll go on ahead and we'll tag the information so you can go and check it out. It's definitely a worthwhile thing, but this is just I wanted to bring Landon on because we've talked to a lot of people who are veterans. We've always talked to people who have been through stuff. Landon is just now beginning his career, and I know that things aren't always going to be pretty, but he's doing what he loves, and I love being able to talk to him before any jaded stuff starts, and
Yeah,
and just know that I appreciate everything that you're doing, and
of course, Uncle.
and you truly are, just you are one of my heroes, kiddo.
I really
I do
appreciate that.
appreciate it, so thank you.
No, of course,
So
and I appreciate what you're doing as well. So that's why I wanted to say it down, but
yeah,
that's why I wanted to take the time and come down here and do this because I could see how important it was, and it's a good thing that you're doing. So
fighting with all the dogs has probably been the most difficult part of this damn interview. So we've been trying to get it for the last couple of days, but hectic visits and stuff. But
I've also been napping a lot,
yeah, well, hey, you know
catching
what?
up.
You know what? I wish I was napping a little bit more. But hey, everybody, this is Zach Clayton here with my nephew Landon. We're going to continue now with more from Mission for Healthy Heroes. Please make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and make a comment, because if you do that, you're going to be put into the wheel of giving, and if your name gets picked, you're going to win some prizes that we've got donations for. So it doesn't cost you anything to do it, but make sure that you make a comment. Let us know that you're watching. Maybe you can win yourself a 1 hour uh, tarot reading from Len Sobolski. So we'll talk to you all later. Thank you.
You guys have a beautiful day and take care.
Thank you, kiddo. I appreciate it.
Of course.